Okay, man, it's done cooking. Got to put my good gloves on here and set down the paddle. And we're going to transfer this over here behind. I'm going to move the camera then, and you'll be able to take a look-see. I got a little 4-quart Enterprise sausage press. And what we're going to do is we're going to scoop them cracklings and some of this in here. And we don't normally do this, but I'm going to go ahead and scoop this in here, and that should run out right there and go right through that paint filter. And what I'll do is I'll transfer that out of that container into smaller jars as it solidifies. And of course we'll put that in the lower portion of the refrigerator, or an extra refrigerator, and then use that throughout the course of the year. One of the things that I use it for is, believe it or not, I use it as a lubricant on the drill press whenever I'm drilling holes in mild steel. It actually works quite well. But at any rate, I'm going to get a little bit more out of here. This is going to be a little lengthy, but because this ain't the normal scoop that we use or anything. The stuff we do over at my brother's is much bigger, because like I say, we're doing a couple of 100 pounds or so or more of fat at a time, so we go much faster. This is only going to be almost one press full, which is really cool. I'm going to set this down, and we're going to see if we can pour that in there. Put on my handy dandy super gloves, man, because that stuff gets hot quick. Now I'm going to pour this in here. Like I say, this is kind of neat that this is working out halfway decent, because I had no idea if it's going to. But normally, like, oh, doggone it, look at there, I'm wasting some lard. That's okay, my concrete needed lubricating. But not a big deal. I said it was working out well. It was, until I had a mental faux pas there. I think that's French for meaning screwed up, you know what I mean? Now I can see another flaw. I think before I went to pour that, I probably should have changed that filter. So I'm going to let that drain down a little bit, because I think it's getting kind of filled up with pummies down there in the bottom of that mesh. And I think that's what's giving me my problem. We normally use old pillow slips, you know, pillow casings, and then hold them with some channel lock. A couple of us hold them with a couple pair of vice grips or channel locks, and have a third person, or at least a second hand on the second person, scoop them out of the big old kettle with a large dipper, and then dump them into bags, and then we hold the bags until they quit dripping, and then we dump the bags into the sausage press. Now his sausage press is much larger. His is, well, I've got another one too, it's just like it, but they're like 2-gallon sausage presses, so they're physically a lot larger than what this little guy is here. And I didn't want to try going through the trouble of doing that, because it's kind of hard to dump that bag in there, you know, by yourself. Now the way this guy works then, it's got a press on the inside, and it's got a pan that inserts inside this. This is actually a sausage press, so you don't normally use these extra pieces. But whenever you're rendering lard, you put those internal pieces in there, and this is perforated around the outside edge. So whenever you tighten this down to squeeze the cracklings, it squishes that oil out of the compressing crackling. I can hear it squishing down in there. I can actually hear it crackling, and apparently that's what the name crackling comes from, because as you compress those hot pieces, they're actually popping. Sound kind of like Rice Krispies, snap, crackle, and pop down inside there. But I guess that's why they call them cracklings. I don't know. But there should be Nothing in that lard that is any bigger than what could possibly go through a paint filter, an automotive paint strainer. So it should turn out to be some pretty good lard. I don't know if you can read, that decal's about gone, but it says Enterprise number 25 or something like that, 4-quart capacity. But it's just about done coming out of there. I can give her a couple more squeezes. That's about it. It feels like it's just about bottomed out. Leave it on pressure just a little bit. A little bit more coming out. Let's just back it up and see what the heck it looks like. Oop, there's the liners coming out with it. Open this guy up, spin that open like that, and then right down in the bottom of this, this is our cracklings down in the bottom. Now it's a little bit warm. I'll dump those upside down and get those out of here. As a matter of fact, I'm not too concerned about where I put them, but I'm going to go ahead and dump them out right here. And there's that screen that I was telling you about. As that press pushes down through, it compresses the lard and squishes it out of those holes, and it goes down into the trough in the bottom of the vat, or the bottom of the press. And that goes down in there, and then this little guy is right on the bottom. This is a seine that's actually on the bottom, or a perforated that's directly on the bottom. So as you press that down, it's running around the outside and also coming right through the holes of this and coming right out of the bottom. So we just set that in there. That's all got to get washed up. And then see if we can bring the phone over this way, or bring the camera over this way. And there you go. There's your little bit of cracklings. Now, it looks like I got it just a little bit too warm. Normally, they're not quite this dark, but doesn't really matter. I'm going to give her a shot. Man, I wish I'd have brought some salt out here. I'll tell you what, that is not bad. I probably could have compressed them just a little bit more. You can see it's a little bit shiny in there. There should be a little more of the lard should have been squeezed out of them. But boy, with a little bit of salt, man, and well, it ain't quite like pork rinds, but hot dang, they're pretty good. Tractor Man 44 back again. As with anything that you do, you know, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. The more you're going to perfect your performance, so to speak. But at any rate, this is the first time that I rendered lard, you know, in this particular fashion, and it turned out adequate, turned out okay. It probably would have been a little different had we had back fat instead of just the leaf lard inside. But at any rate, one note to make, or one point to make, I guess, if y'all do this yourself, you can get animal fat, you know, at the local butcher shop. You know, I'm sure they can they'll give you, you know, a certain quantity of animal fat. It doesn't have to be pig fat. You can make soap and stuff out of a beef tallow. I'm sure you can cook with it. I don't know, but don't quote me on that one. But at any rate, one note that I kind of wanted to make to you is whenever you're pouring that or squeezing that 235 to 245 degree liquid grease into those containers, especially if you're using plastic containers like I'm doing, what you want to be able to do is partially submerge those containers in some in cold water in the bottom of a bucket or a small vat, and that will keep you from collapsing or melting your containers, misshaping your containers to the point to where the lids won't fit. Don't ask me how I know that, but at any rate, the ideal setup is your steel or your metal lard cans that you should be able to get at farm stores or whatever. I'm sure you can get them online. But at any rate, like I say, we just did the leaf lard, knowing that there's not going to be a great quantity, but I ended up with with there's about 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds in each one. So I got about 11 pounds of pretty good quality lard. Hopefully you can look and see how nice and white it is. There's no discoloring, no brownness, nothing. This is going to make some fine soap, and it's going to make us some fine pie crusts and stuff too. But at any rate, just thought I'd show you the end product, the finished product, so to speak. And I'm kind of happy that that it turned out as well as it did. Like I say, the old method is tried and proved. We've done it for, decades, but this was a first time for a smaller version using different utensils or different tools. But at any rate, like I said a couple of minutes ago, thanks for coming along for the ride. And if you didn't find any information useful, hope you at least enjoyed a little bit of it. But at any rate, it's Tractor Man 44, man. I'm out of here.